So, I mean, this would be quick. It's just a quick combo just to, the scenario is, um, you're at about 12,000 in sales and feeling like the sales reposition is taking a lot of time, had a bad start to the fall, low people to reach out to, don't want to waste anyone's time to work back at it, want to do things on your own. We'll work on some marketing, not getting necessarily the results. And instead of the coaches spending or investing time into you, you'd rather them spend time on someone else that is more deserving of their energy. Does that sound right? Or is there anything
Yeah,
else that I might have missed?
that's correct.
Cool. So what I like about what you're saying is that you're like, hey, I want my independence. I know I can do it. I know how to do it. Um, until this point, my question, it brings up a question though, which is, do you feel like we've already given you um, a lot of independence at this point? So for these last several weeks, as you were working this fall, do you feel like you've been micromanaged? Do you feel like you've had a lot of independence? Do you feel like, how often are you talking to someone? Like what has been the process so far?
So when I first started fall, felt like it was micromanaged, but not to a point that it was overwhelming. It's just everyone was always checking in with each other, which was great. Then I had a bit of a family matter that I had to deal with that was prearranged, but kind of started a bit earlier than I anticipated. And so for that time period, I let anyone who was coaching me know. So that kind of was more of the independence. I still had my
Mhm.
meetings with you every 2 to 3 weeks to kind of
Yeah.
check in and see what I could be doing as
Well,
I
our conversations were never really about sales. For our combos, sometimes they were, but I have the recaps from our combos because I'm not coaching. I'm not coaching anyone on sales right now.
no, more it
Um,
was more of like time management and figuring out
y-
how to
correct. Yeah,
manage
yeah.
my
So
time
just
with the
from a
family
sales
matter.
vantage point, yeah, from a
Yeah.
sales as a sales coach. So because that's what we're talking about. Because as a sales
Yeah.
rep, um, that's the role that you're bringing up. So because there are other roles, there's other positions, but the sales rep position is like kind of the key to a lot of the other positions that we have, and it's not necessary, but at the same time it is, that's the moneymaker. That's third. I mean, 30% commission is pretty incredible. And one of the things that you said, Tiff, is that I don't want the coaches to invest into me. I don't want them to put their time into me because they could put it into other people. Would One of the things that you got to understand, that would be our decision to make, not yours, right? So I know that's what you want, but we might both agree that that might be easy for you. That would be easy for you to say, yeah, like don't worry about me, like I'm okay. Almost like a martyr says, yeah, I'm just going to kill myself. Don't worry about me. And I'll just take my own life, and then you don't have to worry about me. You just focus on everyone else. That, I mean, when you hear it in that gross terminology, though, well, if you have people that actually care about you, right, they're probably not going to let you do that. That's not your decision to make for you, especially when you have people that care about you with the reasons that you're giving, which are, it's going to take a lot of effort for me to build my base back up. It's going to take I'll do the marketing on my own time, even though you're doing it on your own time, but not necessarily creating results. um your time, you said, another thing you said is, I tie my emotions to my results. These ideas of what you're sharing, Tiff, are foundational for any position that you're going to work in when it comes to business, emotionally attached to results. So you want to run interviews, but if you're not getting results with running interviews, then you're not going to be of value to the business, right? So you're going to get emotionally attached to those results. If you're setting people up for interviews, well, if they're not showing up for the interviews, you're going to get emotionally attached to those results. And what's going to happen if the results are low? What are you going to do? You're going to be like, actually, I don't want to do that either. I don't want to do that either. I don't want to get better at that either. I don't, and not to say you would do that, because you didn't do that as a sales rep in the beginning stages. You were hungry and willing to put in the work and you were one of the first people on, last people off, maybe possibly could it be that the hunger and the desire to put in that work that you've put in the past is showing to you that maybe it's not quite worth it. Like the juice is not worth the squeeze. It's going to require too much of me to get this return maybe. And because the return is not a guaranteed, do I really want to put in all that effort to get this possible return? And I might not even get that return. And even if I did get the return, man, that's so much work to even position myself to even try. Do you feel like there's any truth to that? And if there's no truth to that, what would you say?
I feel like partially, but it's also like I am aware of like putting in the work yields results, because during the summertime, like my first few weeks, like I was making $500 to $700 paychecks. So I do know that it's worth it. It's just like lately or not lately, but like towards the end of the summer when I didn't have any obstacles or things to deal with, I was putting in that work and it wasn't getting me the same results. And that was kind of frustrating. So I was still doing like week after week. Like I had 2 no-sale weeks and I was taking everything from my sales coaching team, like under advisement, and changing things and doing things and putting in all the work, yet nothing was happening still. And I guess it's just been so long. I don't know, it's been a month dealing with like my mom and her getting back on her feet after the surgery, that I don't know, it's been so long since I actually was doing sales and building all of that, that
Sure.
the only thing I remember was towards the end, I'm doing all the work still. Nothing was happening. Like I felt like I was working overtime the last few weeks that I was active, like fully active, yet nothing was happening.
Sure. So coming back to the initial question, does that mean there might be some truth there that the amount of work that it would take, the amount of squeeze it would take for you to get the juice, it might not be proven that you're going to get results, or it might not be worth the amount of work it would take to get the results?
Going back to emotionally, I feel like that's the last that's the last mindset I had emotionally.
Sure.
But I like mentality wise, I know that that's not true. It's just
So which
emotionally
one?
I'm not
So
there.
so which one's in charge?
I think right now I'm being driven by emotion, just because like I know, like especially like the last few weeks, I had that mentality like I know if I like just keep working at it, like eventually
Sure.
it's gonna get back to where I was before. But emotionally, I had those consistent like either no selling weeks or those low selling weeks. So it's kind of just like I kind of feel equal in it. Like I know I can do it, but what I know and what's happening is it matching up, and that's kind of leaving me conflicted to the point of
Sure.
what do I do now?
So I don't have an answer for you, nor would I want to give you the answer, but I can give you some like a frame for maybe
Okay.
that might be able to offer you some perspective. And then, maybe this is part A of a few part conversation. So this is what I do have. So I have a couple things. Number one is your SMART goals. I want to get a Malibu. I want to have a branch office that does 100K. I want to complete 100 workouts. I want to read 12 books. I want to take a vacation with your god sister. So that's what I do have. Okay. I also know that the way you receive and express love is quality time, which makes a lot of sense of why you wouldn't want someone to give you time, because maybe you don't feel worthy of their time because you're not getting the results. And it's like, why should you give me love? And why should you give me appreciation and express that to me when I'm not worthy of it because I am so needy, or whatever story you're telling yourself. And then you have this, which says merchant innovator is the dominant, and a banker is close, but that merchant is dominant. And the merchant of love is so high, which is I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to disappoint myself. I don't want to disappoint other people. I want to make sure I maintain love and connection with those around me. And because of just knowing this about you, knowing this, or knowing the quality time that, that's how you receive appreciation and love and give it. And then also your SMART goals of the things you want, giving that as a frame, along with, you have 40 numbers in queue of contacts, and then there's 332 friends that you could reach out to for mom's numbers. That there's probably been a bunch that you already have, but there, out of 332, there might be several that you haven't. So that means you're really popular. So kudos to you. So you have, that's the information that I have in front of me. With that information that I have, well, what type of conclusions or conclusive evidence, what shows up? Which one's running your show? Is it going to be mental or is it going to be emotional? Well, you could probably answer that one if you'd like.
I definitely know emotional is what's driving.
Sure. So if emotion is driving us, we would never get anything done. We would never wake up in the morning. We would never go to the gym. We would never eat healthy. The emotions, if we let all of the emotions that we feel, I mean, we have, studies will show we have 50,000 thoughts a day, and every thought has an emotion. So every thought has an emotion. So therefore, we have 50,000 emotions during a day. Can you imagine if we only listen to those emotions? That's like the 5-year-old kid that's in the back of the car saying, I want to drive the car right now. It's like, well, that sounds great, but you're not qualified to drive the car right now. You're too immature to drive the car. And those emotions that are taking over and saying, this is what I think is best for me, this is what I think should make sense, this is what I think I should do, is like the 5-year-old version of you trying to take control and start driving your car. And that's going to either drive you closer or further away to the goals that you set for yourself. And more than likely, that 5-year-old that's trying to drive the car is not qualified to achieve these goals that you have for yourself. So therefore, I would not let temporary emotions that we feel in moments to decide on whether or not we still want these, because you wrote these down when you were at an excited state where it's like, these are the things I want. So what I would suggest is either come up with new goals, which I wouldn't always recommend that, just because, then you might let that 5-year-old change those goals, right? Which might not be beneficial or advantageous. Or revisit why you wanted those goals in the first place. What was significant about these goals and why you wanted them? And then I would ask, how am I doing with them so far? How am I doing with my workouts? How am I doing with reading and feeding my mind? How am I doing with this relationship with this person? How am I doing with my savings account towards the Malibu? And as far as the branch sales of 100K, well, partially, I have that on the recording from our first prep of why you wanted that in the first place, was to give back the opportunity that you have to more people. So if we can get more connected to the priorities and the goals and the things that you want originally, then we can create a different emotion. And that's what I would say before any decisions get made. Maybe you're right. Maybe selling is not the best idea right now. I just don't want the 5-year-old making that choice and making those decisions based upon the reasoning that you gave, which is, it takes a lot of time. It might not be worth it. I could do things on my own. I'll do it. I'm not worthy of people's time right now. I wouldn't say those are the truth. I think the truth is it worth the squeeze? And I'm here just to remind you it is. I've been where you are. In fact, I was where you are right now, my first fall in Tampa. I had 19 no sales out of 21 appointments over the course of a 12-week period. So imagine 12 weeks would be 3 months. So you're talking like September, October, November. So around that time frame, like 2 sales on, it was awful. I had bills to pay. My mom was sick. Like I had a lot of shit I was dealing with, just like you have a lot of shit you're dealing with. So of course I had Wimpy, my saboteur, show up and try to tell me maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should just do TLA and management training and go work another job. And I did. I started working Hollow Scream at Busch Gardens, and kind of do the side gig. And I was doing that, but I also kept my options open. I kept my doors open. I was going through the TLA. I was working a little bit behind the scenes. I wasn't an assistant manager, but I was kind of like doing some help around the office on some stuff. But then I got a call in February. It said, "Hey, Mike, you're in. We need you as an assistant manager." And I got the call because I kept those doors open. I said, "Me, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm like still struggling over here. I wasn't, did you not remember the fall?" They said, "You're in." And Matt King poured belief into me. And then I took that and I poured belief into other people while I continued to grow and learn and develop. And I didn't run a branch that first summer. In fact, I was just promoted to a very part-time assistant manager that first summer. But the following summer, I did earn a branch spot and we did do 100K. And one of the kids, Austin Beverage, is now running his own company. And I reached out to him and be like, "Hey, what was one of the most impactful jobs you had when you were in college?" He would say, "Working for you." When I was 20 years old, running my branch office that summer, he was an All-American scholarship winner. And he wouldn't have had that opportunity if I took myself out of the game. So I'm just going to invite you to not take yourself out of the game. Not to say that you were going to, but at least if you're going to take yourself out of the game, we do it with better and stronger reasons, or we just strengthen our goals and strengthen our priorities and try to be more gentle on yourself and just try to make it winnable and make it more fun like it was. And I think that this push that we have coming up could be an opportunity for you just to make it a little bit more fun for yourself. And working instead of isolating and not getting coaching, it's actually opposite, where it's like you double down and get a little bit of accountability and work with some of your friends again and get people to just pour belief into you, and you could collaborate and pour belief into them and do it together like we had during the summer again, because that was the last real push that we had. And then we can kind of come up with some things. So would you at least be open to, maybe Jessica and Lindsay reaching out and having a conversation with them of just like what a schedule could look like for push, and what could it look like if you wanted to get some appointments under your belt? What other strategies could be there to just like, so that way, if we're going to make that decision where you just do some management behind the scenes and you do TLA to keep doors open for you and maybe not sell right now, at least we're basing it off of our our philosophies, not the 5-year-old wimpy version of you philosophies.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Cool. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you letting me record this because I knew like the direction of where I thought this might go. I had an idea. And I think this conversation is so, it's so common. And there's not many people as mature as you that's willing to be open to what we're talking about, that they'd be like, "Nope, this is how it is, done." And unfortunately they just don't stay with us. But I love that you're open-minded. I know where your heart is at. I know where your head is at, and knowing your chart is beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. You have a beautiful heart. You have you're just, everything about you is great, and you don't want to disappoint, and you want to make sure you do a good job, and you're a competitor, and you want to make sure you're doing your best. And sometimes that's tough when the results aren't there. And we just want to tie your belief systems to something outside of just those results. And if we can learn that and we can crack that code during this time frame while you're feeling this way, your life could be completely changed. The 25-year-old version of you, Tiff, is begging for you to work through this, not because of Cutco and not because of sales, but just to work through this so you don't let the ego or those emotions or the wimpy run the show. And we want to Sherpa you through that. We want to guide you through that. So that's what's on my mind. And I appreciate you letting me capture that. So I'll stop the